Hello, family. I decided that I want to share a story with you. A few stories. So, if you don't know, I am here in the beautiful country of Honduras. I came here, Spirit led me here, God led me here, my ancestors led me here. I knew that I wanted to get away from everything and kind of just have loved ones here, good food, alkaline food, get a good cleanse in me, and kind of just see where it takes me. So a few interesting things happened and I loved it. And when you hear the story, you'll be like, Tiara, what? How'd you love that? I don't know, but I'm strange like that. In order to understand the story, let me give some context. So this is something that I haven't shared much about, but I do want to share more. In 2017 until about 2019, I was involved in a domestic violence relationship. And it was very bad. It was very bad. And I didn't really realize, like many women, you don't realize that you're in it until you're through it. When someone puts their hand on you, you look at it as isolated events. You're like, he or she was having a rough day. And you pacify it and you give excuses and you don't tell your family because you don't want them to judge the whole person because this is just an isolated event, right? And he would put his hands on me, my neck. I had tons of black eyes, bruises all over my body. I've been spit on, thrown. I've had my luggage thrown on me. He stomped in my face before with boots on. It was really bad. It was really bad. And I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want anyone to judge me, right? So I've been healing through that for the past few years. I've been healing through that, and I've been taking my time with healing, getting to know myself again, and figuring out if I want to date men, because it kind of traumatized me. And while I am going to date men again, I'm taking some time for myself, right? So there's that background. I do want to speak more on domestic violence. This video is going to shift gears a little bit, but there will be more videos on domestic violence, and that is my promise, because many people don't know that they're in abusive relationships. It could be physically abusive, it could be emotionally abusive, spiritually abusive. All those things I was in. I was manipulated, my mind was manipulated, I was physically abused, and there were some magical, not in a good way, magical, there were some spiritual things that were done to me to force me to stay. I'm out though. So here is this next story. That was the background. So I am here in Honduras, and I invited my loved ones here, and it was just beautiful. Every single human that came here, absolutely amazing. And I learned an important lesson, and while I was going through it, it sucked. But now that I'm like, ooh, I get to work on this, it's pretty cool, and I'm excited to share with you guys. So I was hanging out with a few friends, and I hadn't really, since my relationship where I was, physically, emotionally, spiritually abused, I hadn't really been around masculine energy. And I was around masculine energy, as far as living with, and I was around masculine energy on this trip. And I was just hanging out with friends, and then without going into details, I was involved in a conversation that triggered me on another level. It triggered me, and I reacted in a way where I clammed up and ran. And then after that, I cried and I cried. And on this trip, I cried a few times. I don't cry a lot. I would like to, I just don't. I like to release. But on this trip, I cried a lot, and I cried that night. And I was like, and my friend was like, whoa, Tiara, I never saw you act like that. And when he said that, I was so embarrassed, and I was so ashamed. And I was like, wow, Tiara, you really don't act like that. What's gotten into you? And it could be something spiritual, so what's gotten into you, and how can we get it out, And I didn't rush my processing or my reflecting, I just let it kind of come to me. And then the next day I was like, you know what, friend? Nothing that you did at all, just masculine energy that I haven't healed from, triggered me and brought me back to a relationship where I felt unsafe and unloved. And again, the person did nothing to put me in that situation. It's just something about myself that I haven't healed through. And I haven't been in a relationship with a guy since that, that previous relationship. So there was no time for like trial and error for that, or there was no time to see that that is something that I needed to heal from. You know what I mean? So that's beautiful. That's beautiful because I love work. I love figuring out things or flaws or character traits that I want to improve on, and I'm working on it, right? So I'm getting to work. So this is not me coming back with a testimony on how I healed through this. This is a story of me now working through something, realizing that I'm not healed through that. And what that is in particular is just communication with men. That's all it was. Just communication with a guy, who I consider, a loved one, and someone that I love dearly, as if they were my relative. And so that's pretty cool. And I just wanted to share that. And I'm excited to talk to my therapist about it. I'm excited to say, hey, therapist name. I'm excited to work through my relationship with men and rebuilding that trust and understanding, like, Tira, you can trust men again, and not every man is going to put their hands on you. You know what I mean? And not every man is there to mistreat you. They are there to protect you. And the funny thing is, this person I would consider someone who protects me, as like my brother. You know what I mean? Like my brother protects me. I look at this person as someone who protects me. So that's how I know that, like, it's definitely something that I am working on within myself, because like this person only wants, to protect me. So thought it was cool, thought I was to share. And I will be sharing more on how I got through the healing journey of my mind, and how I got through the domestic violence relationship, and how I forgave and now still love, my ex. There's no malice, and also how I got through, oh my God, I hope I never run into him again, to like fear of running into him again, to now I love you. I love you. There's no, like, I've forgiven you. I love you. Do I ever want to be with you again? Of course not. But it's all love. It's all love. So there are some things that I'm still working on. Some things that I've healed from. If you have any tips, feel free to write them. Definitely write them. Because this is a community. This is a tribe. And we are about love and sharing. And yeah, that's my story.